let's analyze this. So, big channel, Wrestling Hub, made a video in which he lists 5 wrestlers he feels like will have a big year and make a huge impact in this coming year, 2019. I, for one, feel like there are a lot of talented guys and girls, especially from NXT, that will get called up and just become very, very big. One of my favorites, personally, is Velveteen Dream, and I feel like just how good he is nothing compared to how much better he's going to get as time goes on. So, let's see what he has to say.
2018 hasn't been the best year for wrestling, but it sure has been a notable one. WWE have stuck to their favourites through the year like they usually do. Baron Corbin kept becoming a bigger presence on screen, Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns were just as dominant as they always had been. AJ Styles may have finally dropped the WWE...
I don't know about Braun now. I feel like Braun was way more dominant last year than he was this year. They toned him down a little bit this year, as far as I'm concerned. He still had a pretty good year, but at the end of the day, he wasn't really as impactful as he had been last year. Granted, he had been in some big matches, some championship matches and what have you, but his overall appeal and aura wasn't as big as it was last year. And I feel like the biggest problem that the WWE had that they didn't capitalize off of was the fact that Braun, in my view, should have beaten Brock Lesnar for the Universal title at, that No Mercy pay-per-view event? One of you peeps can correct me on that one if I'm not mistaken. That was their one-on-one match. I believe it was the first time they went up against each other one-on-one. And that should have been the perfect time for Braun Strowman to become Universal Champion. Some people say that he wasn't ready. I, for one, feel like he was more than ready. Because we all know damn well Brock should have not held the Universal title for over 500 days like he did. That was ridiculous. And I believe that we can all agree on that. I didn't have any problem with Brock becoming Universal Champion in the first place. It's just that he shouldn't have held the belt that long. That was just ridiculous, man. All of that just to get Roman over. And it's still, I don't want to say it bombed or failed, but it was I think that's the best way to explain it.
WWE Championship, but has easily retained his position as SmackDown's top guy. We saw Shinsuke Nakamura win the Royal Rumble, Daniel Bryan return from injury, and even the temporary retirement of Roman Reigns due to leukemia. Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch changed the women's divisions, and Seth Rollins, Elias, and The Miz keep increasing in popularity. We saw new stars take the main roster by storm in the form of Bobby Lashley, McIntyre, and an unlikely career resurgence for Dolph Ziggler. But will 2019 bring us...
Was that really a career resurgence? Was that really a career resurgence for Dolph Ziggler? I feel like that was more of, hey, let's do a little bit with him, see where it goes, and that's it.
Similar big stars. I'm James from Wrestling Hub, and today we're looking at the 5 wrestlers that can have a big 2019. Ruby Riott is honestly too good to be stuck in Raw's women's division mid-card. It's understandable that it isn't necessarily the easiest division to break through, especially since Ronda Rousey joined, but she has been great for the division, and even on television. Her latest angle with Natalya showed how far she's come in terms of her ring presence, and she's a genuine heel, but one can really play in
once again, Ruby Riott, I like her. Yeah, I mean, there are times where I like her, and then there are times where I don't really know how I should feel about her. Maybe it's the way she's been booked. I mean, this year was okay for her. She really got a lot of TV time, and she was able to showcase a multitude of things that she can do. I get it. Her feud with Natalya, I never felt that feud at all. Granted, their TLC match was really good. Their tables match at TLC, I enjoyed it. It wasn't like a great all-out slugfest performance brawl, but it was excuse me. It was a fun match to watch. It was a very fun match to watch. And it was sometimes brutal. Like Natty was Natty was cursing the shit out of Ruby Riott. If y'all really caught that. And it was that one moment in the match where she slapped her. I couldn't tell if it was a slap or a punch, but that shit looked that didn't look like a pulled punch or a worked punch, I'll tell you that for sure. And then Natty had to apologize to Ruby, and then Ruby was like, "Get the fuck off of me." I don't know if y'all caught that, but I caught that. That's man. I don't know what that match was, but it was very entertaining. I can definitely say that. Ruby does deserve better. It's just that I feel like in terms of her being on Raw, they focus on Nia too much. If you really think about it, they focus a little bit too much on Nia. And Ronda, she's an exception because she's the champ. So I don't really mind that. You have to have your focus on the champ because it's the champ. But Ruby, hopefully next year or this coming year will be better for her.
Mind games with her opponents, using her intellect and her cohorts, Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan. Riot's latest program with Natalya is as proof as to why she's going to kill it in 2019, as her heel work is absolutely wonderful. The fans have been buying into her for a while now, and there is an Alexa Bliss-shaped hole to temporarily fill. WWE should generally consider giving her a bigger run in 2019. You can start out with a good performance in the Rumble, but it can build to so much more. She may be the inaugural Women's Raw Tag Team Champion with the Riot Squad, or may just get her hands on...
Am I the only one that feels like they're not going to do that at this point? The women's tag team titles on both brands. Am I the only one that feels like they're never going to do that at this point? Because they've literally had about 2 or 3 times this year to just pull the fucking trigger, and they didn't do shit. So, I don't know. I could be wrong. Hopefully, eventually we see it. So
the Raw Women's Championship. An exciting year lies ahead for Riot, as WWE are evidently prepping her for bigger things. When Elias was making his way up to the main roster, Triple H has said that Elias isn't someone who would have succeeded in NXT, but will most definitely succeed in the main roster. Lars Sullivan is a lot like that too. Whatever anyone says, WWE is still the land of the giants, and there's a reason why top stars in the company right now are giants, like Braun Strowman, Brock Lesnar, Baron Corbin, Drew McIntyre, and Bobby Lashley. Lars Sullivan couldn't succeed in the work rate heavy NXT, but will definitely succeed on Raw or SmackDown. 2018 was good for Sullivan, as he was part of a 5-star match in the inaugural North American title match for NXT TakeOver New Orleans, and also challenged Aleister Black for the NXT Championship later. Now he's being teased to debut on Raw or SmackDown anytime soon, and will probably receive an enormous push straight out the gate. 2019 is a big year for Sullivan, provided his past doesn't drag him down.
On Lars Sullivan, I don't think it was that he didn't succeed in NXT. I wouldn't say that. I don't think him in NXT was really a problem. If anything, I kind of feel like he should have been in NXT just a little bit more time. The only reason why Elias didn't work out in NXT is because they did nothing with him in NXT. I remember Elias's run. practically watched damn near his whole run, and all he was doing was walking around the building. He was doing that drifter shit. And they didn't have him talk at all. For the most part, they did not have him talk. So when he came up to the main roster, they almost immediately had him talk. And it worked. And it was entertaining. And it was kind of funny. And it just worked. I don't know. It's weird. This company can be weird at times because a lot of times the people who can talk, they don't let them talk that much. And then the ones that can't talk, they have them talk way too much. I.e. Shinsuke Nakamura. I.e. Bobby Lashley before they gave him Leo Rush. I.e. Roman Reigns for like the first 3 years of his main event run. Sheamus for a while. I don't know. It's my opinion.
"2018 has been a bit topsy-turvy for Andrade Almas. He started the year as a bona fide star in NXT, and he and Johnny Gargano got the first 5-star rated match from Dave Meltzer since John Cena and CM Punk in 2011. He was NXT champion, making an appearance at the Royal Rumble, and then he got called up to the main roster. His main roster tenure could be labelled as disappointed, but he hasn't been used nearly as well as he should be, and he's been usually booked to lose, albeit to top stars like Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles. Almas is definitely booked for a big 2019, as apparently Vince McMahon is extremely fond of the young Mexican and is preparing a slow push for him. Along with that, recent reports state that Almas may just be a part of the United States Championship match at WrestleMania. His talents are too good to be unnoticed, and his pairing with Zelina Vega has been a massive success. Expect Almas to make the most of 2019. Sasha Banks has been so criminally underutilized since 2016 that it isn't even funny anymore. She was breaking ground with Bayley on NXT and then continued to do so with Charlotte on the main roster. What seemed to be an inevitable feud between her and Bayley has become an odd couple tag pairing, which hasn't really been working out. Her talents are far too superior to be used in the mid-card as they have been, so it's about time that she pushes back up the ranks. Banks is perennially popular and her skill set isn't going anywhere. She's just waiting in the sidelines at this point to be in contention for a championship again. She may be the inaugural tag team champion with Bayley, as it is also likely that she becomes the top heel of the brand if Nia Jax fails in that role. She could also be a secondary babyface under Ronda Rousey. 2019 has to be the year Banks rediscovers her mojo again.
Sasha Banks, I wouldn't say she's been criminally underused. I don't agree with that. I just think that the only problem is that every time she won the title, she would only hold it for no more than 2-3 weeks. That's my only problem with the booking of Sasha Banks. Other than that, I wouldn't say she's been criminally underused. If anything, she was way overused when she first came up. For that first year, they milked a lot out of her, to the point where I almost got tired of seeing her, to be honest. They were using her too much. They were using her too much. They were using Charlotte too much. They were starting to borderline push them down our throats. In my opinion. That's how I feel about it. I like Sasha. This whole thing with Bayley will really be pointless if they don't make a women's tag team titles at some point eventually soon, which hopefully, God, I hope they do. Because otherwise, what the fuck was the point of this? But yeah, Sasha, it's just the titles, the championship reigns. That's the only problem I have still to this day. I do feel like she will get another title run, but hopefully when that happens, she'll be able to run with it, like legitimately run with it. Other than that, yeah. And Almas, I pretty much agree with everything he said about Almas. That's why I didn't That's why I didn't pause the video, in case you were wondering.
I mean, it has to be 2019. 2016 was so bright for Balor as he became the inaugural Universal Champion then, but ever since, he's never come close to that level of stardom. An injury absolutely derailed his career, and now he has to fight to ensure that he has a prominent spot on the card. He's in the upper mid-card, but it doesn't look like he'll break into the upper echelons just yet. 2019 may be the year he does, however. Balor is probably the number one pick to go to SmackDown during the Superstar Shakeup, as WWE have been asked by Fox to put more athletic guys on the SmackDown roster. There's no way that Balor would be fodder on SmackDown like he was on Raw. Sure, he might have become champion in 2009, but he'll surely make a dramatic rise at the cards and possibly reclaim the throne he never rightfully lost. And that was the top 5 wrestlers.
So, that's his list. I agree with that list. I mean, I would put Bayley on it as well. I would put Strowman on it as well. But yeah, Finn Balor. You know, I gotta say something about Finn real quick, because I don't think a lot of people have actually thought about this too much. His injury 2 years ago at SummerSlam in that match against Seth Rollins, it was his fault. It wasn't Seth's fault. I know a lot of people are not gonna like that, and honestly, I don't give a damn. That injury was his damn fault, and we all know it. Go back and actually watch the match, and watch the spot where Seth gave him the buckle bomb onto the barricade. The way Finn placed himself in terms of landing on the barricade, he didn't do it right. Because I have seen Seth do that buckle bomb to so many other guys on that barricade, and they all landed the right way. I don't want to say the right way, but in a safe way, without actually getting hurt, unlike Finn. I'm just going to say Finn shouldn't have had his shoulders out the way they were. He shouldn't have had them out. And I think that the only reason why he placed his shoulders out is because he didn't want to land head first. And he wanted to kind of cushion the landing in terms of his back. And it didn't work, obviously, because he ended up tearing a labrum. That's just my take on it. So yeah, this was a very interesting list. I do agree with this list. I have somewhat confidence that these 5 wrestlers that he just named, that James just named, will have a big year next year, hopefully with the right proper booking. I am very excited to see where SmackDown goes, since Fox will be, I don't want to say they will be taking over. Well, they kind of will be taking over. Since Fox will be a part of the brand now, it will be really interesting to see what happens. I do want to see Finn go to SmackDown. He needs to get traded to SmackDown at this point. It's not working out on Raw anymore, especially with the fact that Raw is mostly Giant Land. And pretty much all of their main event guys are big guys. Finn, he's out of place there at this point. So SmackDown, he would fit right there. And I could see him feud with Daniel Bryan over the WWE title. That would be really interesting. Oh man, that would really be interesting. I just thought about this shit. Imagine Finn comes out, right, on a random SmackDown while Bryan is talking. And you know how Finn has the leather coat and shit, has the leather jacket, what have you. Let's say he comes out and Bryan completely just shits on the leather jacket because it's leather. Oh man, I can't wait to see the new WWE title that Bryan wants to present. I can't wait to see that. It's gonna be interesting to see. Granted, if they already done that My apologies, because I've not been watching Raw and SmackDown. Well, I've been watching it, but not watching the full shows because I don't have cable anymore, and I also don't have Hulu. And so I watch the highlights, and I watch whatever's on the WWE YouTube channel. So, yeah, that's about it. Let me know what y'all think down in the comment section. And that's it. I'm out.